Hi, and welcome today as I invite you to plan along with me. I'm going to be planning my school year using our autopilot planning process, and I am asking you to come along. Hi everyone, I am Pam Barnhill and I help moms find freedom and flexibility in homeschool planning. You don't think those two things go together? Well, I am here to show you that they do. So go ahead and hit the subscribe button or the little bell to be notified whenever we have a new planning video go live. So the first thing I am doing today is step one of our autopilot planning series, which is working on my homeschool vision. It's always important to have your vision in place as you're getting ready to start planning for the new school year. Now, I did an overhaul of my vision last year, and so it's pretty new and fresh. I'm going to move this in here. You can see that here's my vision from last year. Everything looks great. There's really nothing I want to change on there. I hadn't changed my vision until last year. I hadn't changed it for years. And so I would just revisit it every year. I wouldn't even tweak anything. And even last year, it didn't undergo a complete overhaul. I just tweaked a few things and added a couple more vision statements in there and maybe took one or two out. So my homeschool vision is good. All I had to do was copy it and paste it into the lovely new forms that are available. I like the new style. I like the new style so much. And so I copied it and pasted it into there. And then I have printed it out. And I'm going to 3-hole punch it. And it's ready to go in my homeschool binder. And I am ready to move to step 2 in the planning process, which is goals for each of my students. Okay, so the vision step was pretty easy, but the next step is going to take a little more work. So this one is the goal step. So I am on pambarnhill.com and I'm logged into my account and I'm on the forms page, and I'm going to go ahead and download the goals worksheet. Okay, so I'm sitting here working on Olivia's goals and just taking a look at what has worked for her in the past year. She does really great with group classes or online classes and discussion. Her math tutoring is going really well, about as well as can be expected. Our goals for Olivia are to get her through Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Geometry by the time she graduates, and we're on track to do that. So that's what we're hoping for. That's just what we're after with her. And then she has a growing independence in what she's doing. I've really noticed that she has been able to do more things on her own. We're wanting her to do more things well on her own. So she can do things on her own now. We want to up the ante as far as the quality of the work she's doing on her own, and kind of her stamina, her academic stamina. So her strengths are music. She has a thirst for knowledge when she's interested in something. She has a really good attitude for the most part, and she's great at writing for pleasure. And then the things we really need to work on are executive function skills and academic writing. So I have started her a goal sheet over here, and one of the things I've decided she needs to do is I'm going to sign her up for an online class in study skills or executive function skills. And out of that, I want her to create a personal plan to practice and then check in with me weekly to see how it's going. So that's one of the goals we have this year. And then I also want her to do one kind of written narration per week based on a nonfiction kind of academic subject. I want her to get good at summarizing and figuring out what the most important pieces are and rewriting something in her own words and making it sound a little more academic than just the great writing that she does for pleasure. So I'm going to give her a writing checklist that she can use so she can improve in this academic writing throughout the year. And we're going to start with paragraphs. So this will be something that she does on notebooking pages or something about volcanoes or the history of tea in China or something. We're doing geography next year. So whatever kind of geography topics come up are topics in her biology that come up. And then the other goal I need to come up with is I need to come up with some kind of strength goal for her. And honestly, she's doing teen choir at the church. She's taking her piano lessons and her organ lessons every week. And she is saying that she's rejoining the steel drum band at the church. So I'm not even going to write this as a goal down. I mean, she's pretty much got her strengths covered, and we're providing those opportunities for her. And we're going to count all of that as fine arts and performing arts credit for her for this school year. So I think we're good. Now, I'm going to make these for my other two children, for my boys. And then once I get that done, I'll be ready to move on to step 3 of the planning process. So I'll be back. Okay, so I have my goals written for all of my kids. I wrote 2 goals for each of my kids. I filled out the goal worksheet and did that. And it's really funny because for one of my kids, the goal is, his goals are like more goals for me and Dad than goals for him. We've got one kid who's not doing any physical activities anymore. And so we've got to get him out for a walk or a bike ride a few times a week. So there are different things in there where I'm addressing attitude, I'm addressing like physical fitness and things like that. But basically, I kept it to 2 goals for each child because those are the things I want to make sure that we get done. And a lot of times the academics are going to get done anyway. So now I'm ready to move on to course of study. And this is where some of the fun starts happening. So I'm in the course of study sheet. There are actually 2 versions of this sheet in the autopilot program. One of them has like 4 columns, and one of the columns is requirements in case your state has some requirements that you have to follow. My state does not, and so I am going to be working on the 3-column form, which simply has subject, schedule, and notes. And so actually, let's work on, I've been showing you Olivia, let's work on somebody else. Let's work on Thomas. So Thomas is my youngest child. So Thomas is going to have to do, and I can never spell and talk at the same time. He's going to do language arts. And he is going to do language arts 5 days a week because he's going to be doing writing class at co-op. So co-op writing class. I told you I can't type and talk at the same time. And this is going to be Write Shop. I think it's level D. And then he is going to be doing All About Reading, level 4, and it is not going to take him the whole year to get through this. He is going to absolutely fly through this. I imagine we'll be done with it by Christmas time, and at which point I'll come in here and figure out where we're going to go from there as far as language arts goes and reading and things like that. I'll probably just come up with some books to read, find something on the Read Aloud Revival book list, and use some of Sarah's questions for talking to your kids about books with them. And then All About Spelling. So he is in All About Spelling level 2, and he will finish that this year as well. And he'll move on to All About Spelling level 3 when he does. So we're going to do those pretty much Monday through Friday. Okay, so math, he is doing math Tuesday through Friday because we do co-op on Monday, and he is in Math UC Gamma, and then he will start Math UC Delta before the year is out. Our programs don't always line up with the end of the year. Sometimes kids are ahead, sometimes they're behind, but when we get to the end of the school year, we just close the book and we open up the book at the next year and start back where we left off. The only thing that may hang him up here is probably not him, but it could. He may have to review some multiplication facts that he might have forgotten a little bit over the summer. So if he needs to do that, we'll spend about 2 weeks just doing daily multiplication drills to catch him up. So because he's about to jump off into that double-digit multiplication. So I want to make sure that he's fresh on those. So if I have to, I'll spend a couple weeks at the beginning of the year refreshing him with those. Okay, so language arts, math. What else is Thomas studying? Handwriting. So he is going to be, we'll probably alternate this with spelling, honestly. And let's see. So we'll probably only do this 2 days a week. We might do spelling Tuesdays and Thursdays, and this on Wednesdays and Fridays. Okay, we're going to be doing Roller Coaster Rider from Half a Hundred Acre Woods. He's going to be learning cursive. And then I wrote a goal for him. So one neat piece of writing a week. So I got to come up with some copy work or something for him to do. That it's going to start out print. While he's learning to make his cursive letters, he's going to be printing a sentence a week, and the focus is just making it neat. That's the big thing. All right. He is going to be doing geography, and this is going to be done on Mondays, and it's going to be done at co-op, and there's going to be very little he needs to do at home every once in a while. And the same with, let me move me over a little bit, science will be done Mondays at co-op, and then as needed at home. And his little class is going to have some at home, but not a ton. It's going to be mostly co-op work. And you know what? I do believe that is it for him. I think that is absolutely all he's going to be doing other than morning time. And there are a couple of subjects that in morning time this year that we're going to do as kind of a hybrid, where we're going to do part of it in morning time and they're going to do some of it at home, or some of it away from morning time. So I'm just going to put 2 days here because I'm not sure which it's going to be, and this is a story of the Bible. I think that's it. So other than morning time, that is all he's going to be doing. So we're good there. I'm going to save him out, and I'm going to work on the course of study for the other two. Okay, just to show you a little more, this is Thomas's course of study. I'm going to save as, and I'm going to put it in this folder, and we're going to rename it John's course of study. And now you can see it says John at the top. So I can come in here and make some changes to this, but I don't have to change everything. So language arts, Monday through Friday. He is going to be doing Write Shop 1 at co-op. And he is out of All About Reading, but he will be doing All About Spelling Level 3. So you see I'm not having to start from scratch. And he is going to be doing literature, the Good Books literature class with Angelina Stanford. Okay. All right, so there is that. John is in Matthew C. Zeta, and he will finish that and move into Matthew C. Pre-Algebra. All right. He is also going to do Roller Coaster Rider, and you know what? I'm going to leave that one neat piece of writing a week there. Oh, and he'll finish All About Spelling Level 3 and move into Phonetic Zoo before the end of the year. And I'm running out of room, so let's do this. Okay. All right, so geography, he will also be doing co-op geography, but he will have assignments that he has to complete at home for sure, because he's in the older class. So, and the same with science. And he's also going to be doing the story of the Bible. And let me see, is there anything else he needs to be doing next year? I think that just about covers it. We'll be doing a few things together in morning time, and he'll be ready to go. And the good news is I have all of this stuff. The science that they're using at co-op is elemental science, biology for the logic stage, and for geography at science or at co-op, we're doing this is bad when you try to think of all the stuff you're doing on the fly. I know what it is. It's geomatters. Trail Guide to World Geography. There we go. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so that looks really good, and I think that's all I need to put on there for him. Oh, one other thing. He is going to have an elective. That's it. And he is going to be doing this 1 to 2 days a week with his dad, and this is the it's a coding box. So he is going to be working on well, it's in electronics. It's 42 electronics, and it's electronics and coding. So he's going to be doing that. Okay, so I have my course of study done for each child. I haven't started fully with morning time yet, but I wanted to go ahead and move on to step 4 of the autopilot planning process, and that's like, what days do I intend to do school this year? So normally we do these forms in Adobe Acrobat, and you can do this in Acrobat, but I'm in GoodNotes right now, and this is actually a beta version of the GoodNotes desktop app that I'm using, but I like it because I get different highlighter colors. So I'm going to use that to show you how I fill out this form. A lot of times I just print this form out and fill it out with a pencil, which is really the best way to do it, but it's kind of hard to show you that on the computer. So the thing I like to do at the top of this form is write in my required number of school days. Now, I'm required to do 160 days by my cover school. I try to shoot for more than that. I usually try to shoot for about 170. I tell you, it's going to be close this year. The other thing I'm going to tell you is this year I am not going to mark a lot of school days in July because we're going to be on vacation in July. But as a homeschool family, you know that we are always learning. And a few of the places we're going to, Niagara Falls, the Erie Canal, the Museum of the Air Force, I'm counting those as school days because we're going to be learning so much on this trip. So a lot of these days here at the end of July, beginning of August, when we are gone on vacation and to the homeschool convention, and my kids are off doing all of these great and wonderful things, going to Fort Niagara, I'm totally counting them as school days on my attendance chart. I'm not going to mark them as school days on here, though. So I'm keeping my number around 160 is basically what I'm getting at. So what I like to do is I like to use what I call magic number scheduling. So I take the number of months that I'm going to do school, and I divide it by the take the number of days I want to do school and divide it by the number of months. So we're going to do school from August through May. So May, June, July. So we're going to do school 10 months out of the year. And I need to hit 160 days. So that means I need about 16 days per month of school. So that's what I'm going to shoot for as I'm making out my schedule. So the 16 days a month is my magic number. So let's we're just going to write that up here. Okay, so I can keep that in my mind. So now I'm going to go through with my highlighter, and I'm going to highlight the days that I know I want to take off. So September, we have Memorial Day right there. I know I want to take that off. Um, the week of Thanksgiving, right here, I think we're doing another little family vacation. I'm not quite sure when. I'm going to go ahead and mark it there. Um, and then by Christmas, I'll be ready to stop here, and then we'll take off here and here and here. Okay, so I can already see I am not going to get 16 days in Christmas, or in December, but I'm going to get 12, which is pretty good. We will probably take 1 week off in March. I'm not sure which one yet, but it will be one of them. I'm just going to mark this one here, and we'll see. That one I reserved the right to move it around, and we'll be done by the end of May. Let me see. Even though I will be taking off a few other days, I will be leaving work with Dad for the kids to do. So now that I've got that done, I can go through and start highlighting the days we are going to do school. Now, we're not going to start until August 12th, and we're going to do school the 12th, and we're not doing school the 14th or the 13th. And the reason is because we have co-op this day. We are back from traveling this day. We have co-op this day. We've got to go do co-op, but the next day we are taking the day off. And we'll start back full force on the 14th to get into our groove and get our co-op work done. So we'll also be doing school here. So this is my August. Let's count up the days. We have 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we haven't made those 16 yet, but I have a feeling we're going to make it up elsewhere. So I'm just going to come right here and write 14 days. Keeping in mind, we're going to be doing some days over here while we're on vacation. Okay, so let's go back and pick up our blue again and come to September. And September is going to be one of those months where we are rocking and rolling. I'm going to be gone a few days in here, but Dad and the kids will have a list. So let's see how we did. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 days. So you can see we've already made up for August and December in September. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my pen and write 20 days. Okay, so in October, whoops, I need to switch back to my highlighter. Thank you. And let's see, 10, 14, 18 days. So once again, that's another month where we are over the 16 I want to hit. Now, because we have a couple of months where we've gone over, and we also have those days in July that we're going to be doing field trips, we may take these extra days off here. Because I'm doing the magic number, I have the ability to, on the fly, say, you know what? We're going to take off the 18th and 19th of November as well, or any other day that comes up. So 15, 16, 17, once again, 18 days. And then when we get to December, whoops, switch back to my highlighter. And I am at 10, 11, 12. Now, I'm going to go through the rest of the month and keep filling in my little calendar. Okay, so I'm through April. I'm sitting here with my calculator and I've added up all of my little blue numbers here. And that's not even including the field trip days I'm going to count in July. And I already have 161 days. So I wouldn't have to put anything in May. Now, it just so happens that I know we've got co-op going on in May. I think we're actually going through the 11th. So I'm just going to go to the 15th of May, and that gives me 10, 11 more days to add to my total. So what this means, I'm going to add in 11 to my 161 and get 172. And then I'm going to add those field trip days in from July, which is probably going to put me about 180. And honestly, I have probably a good 10 or 15 days in here to play with, that if something comes up, I want to take a day off. We want to go do something fun, just go to the beach. Or we're not really sick. We're not feeling well. I mean, it's so nebulous when you're a homeschooling family. We have plenty of grace and room to play with in here in this schedule. So that is how I set up my annual schedule. Any of these blue days can become yellow days as long as I don't do it more than 20 times. So we're good to go. Okay, so now we're moving on to step 5 of the autopilot planning program, and this one is all about weekly and daily plans. And there's so many options available, so many different options that we talk about in the course, and I'm just kind of set in my ways. So sadly, all you're going to get to see here is what Pam does, which is like just one teeny tiny bit of what's absolutely possible. But I'm not changing. So, I don't know why this form starts at 6 a.m. Oh my good gracious, there's no way in the world. I would start at 6 a.m. But other people might. And I'm fairly certain we have one without the times and the days on here, so you could add your own things in there. Okay, so we are at co-op on Monday, and then on Monday afternoon, Olivia has dance. So I'm going to fill those things in. She actually starts at 4:30. So, whoops, nope, don't hit return. Okay, and then so what I'm starting with here is what we do outside the home, because that's the stuff I have the least amount of control over, is, what we're doing away from the house. So Thomas has ninja gymnastics on Tuesday afternoon, and once again, Olivia has dance, and she starts here. So yes, she does a lot of dance, but she loves it, so that's a good thing. All right, Wednesday night this year is kind of weird for us. Oh no, I take that back. I digress. John has church, but it doesn't start until like 6:30, so I don't have anybody in children's choir anymore. And then, let's see, dance will start here on Thursday. Okay. And then on Thursday afternoon, we have music here. That's steel drum and piano and organ for Thomas and Olivia. And Wednesday is kind of my weird day because the big kids go to math tutoring and Olivia volunteers at the library. And then Miss Olivia, the social butterfly, also has karate on Wednesday afternoon. So Wednesday's kind of a pickly day for us. She may actually have to start getting up early and getting busy with things. But basically, these are the times that we are out of school or out of the house every week, and so therefore out of school. Though I will say our co-op is very academic, and we do count that as school. So I was about to put something on 8:30, but you know what? I'm going to be really realistic here. And I'm going to come in and fill in the times that pretty much I intend on us doing school. Yeah, we'll call this school/lunch because it doesn't take us that long to eat lunch. Okay, and I imagine there will be some school going on here as well. Whoops. And the other thing I actually need to go and put in this particular list is classes. So we have some people taking online classes. So I'm not going to make you watch me do that, but I am going to go in and fill in those online class times and put those in there as well. So that's our weekly plan. Now, when you are doing your daily plan, let me get back to my homeschool folder. When you're doing your daily plan, there are so many different options and so many different things you could do. And I have to tell you that mine is really kind of boring. I'm going to kind of show you what it looks like, but it's so boring. Because basically we have two blocks in our homeschool. We have the morning time block, and we have the independent work block. I mean, I would just not even fill out this form. I mean, basically it's co-op and co-op here, and then if we just want to call these block 1 and block 2, and this is going to be morning time. That's the first thing that we do. Now, if you use this, other people use this form differently. They have like more set schedules and things like that. I don't. I'm kind of loosey-goosey. It's like, this is what we do in morning time. This is the block for morning time. We're going to do that first. That one's going to be our first block at 9 a.m. And then at some time, probably by before 10, not even 10, but before 10, we're going to get to the independent work, which is basically their spiral notebook list. Other people are going to use this form in a lot more complicated way, but this is just how I use this one. Actually, like I said, if I weren't filling it out for you, I probably wouldn't have filled it out at all. So there you go. Now you'll see a little more in depth on how I use a form similar to this one when I come back and show you how I'm planning my morning time. So that's it for weekly and daily schedules. So I've been at the planning process right now. Now the videos that you're seeing are edited a little bit, and I've done some things off video as well. But I've been at the planning process for maybe an hour and 15 minutes at this point, and I'm already through step 5. Now I'm about to slow down, but you can see after you've been following this process, this autopilot planning process for a number of years, how quickly it can go for you. Okay, so the next step in the process, in the autopilot planning process, and apparently my computer's going to go a little crazy, is coming up with lesson plan lists. So basically we teach you to do your lesson planning in lists, and there are actually 2 official kinds of lists that you have, and then you kind of identify which things you're doing that are open and go. So there's 3 technical columns of different lesson plans you would have, but one of them you don't have to do because you've been smart enough to purchase an open and go curriculum. So I'm sitting here with my 3 course of study pages for my school subjects and for my kids, and I'm going to look at them and I'm going to put them into these lists, like which ones are open and go, I'm done, which ones do I need to make procedure lists for, and which ones do I need to make lesson plan lists for. So I'm looking at Thomas's list, and open and go is all about reading, all about spelling. I am going to have to do a lesson plan list for Write Shop, and the only reason I'm doing that myself is because I'm the one teaching writing at co-op. If not, that wouldn't be there. Matthew C is open and go. I'm going to do a procedure list for roller coaster rider. And let me see. And I'm going to do a procedure list for the one neat piece of writing a week, because I want him to have a procedure for how to do that. And then story of the Bible, I think is going to be a procedure list. If it could move to the lesson plan list column once I get it here and have a look at it. Okay, looking at John's course of study, I am going to have to do a lesson plan list for Write Shop 1 because I'm the one teaching it at co-op. Let me see. Matthew C. Yeah, everything on his is pretty good to go. The 42 electronics is going to be open and go. So I don't need to make a list for that. And then he is doing elemental science biology and trail guide to world geography with co-op. So the co-op teacher will be making the lesson plan list for those. And then with Olivia, I am going to need to do a procedure list for that goal that I had for her, the academic writing, narration, written narration for Olivia. And the great thing about that is I can use it again with John or somebody else one day. Okay, so she is doing Mapping the World with Art to supplement what she is doing at co-op for geography. So I am going to put that in the procedure list. Now I know what curriculum that I have that is open and go. I don't have to worry. Actually, I am going to make a phonetic zoo procedure list this year because I want her to be a little more focused with that. And then John's going to be moving into it. So I now need to know what kinds of lesson plan lists I need to make and what kind of procedure lists I need to make, and then also what is open and go and I don't have to worry about. So this kind of lays out for me what I need to be doing in this next step. I just added Shakespeare because I'll be teaching a Shakespeare class at co-op at the very end of the year. So I probably won't write this one right now. I probably won't write it until the fall. But these two I've got to get written before co-op starts. Fortunately, I've already been using Write Shop 1 in co-op last year, so it's going to be a continuation. That's going to be easy for me to do. And then I'll need procedure lists for these things. So this is kind of where I slow down and start bogging down a little bit in my homeschool planning, because now I have to pull out and look at these different curriculum and see, what is the procedure going to be as we do each lesson in here. What are the things that they're going to need to be doing? So this is where I slow down a little bit. Okay, so I did get a lesson plan list, a procedure list, made for Phonetic Zoo. And we had been getting a little lax and lazy with some of these steps. So, because we didn't write them down last year. So I wanted to be sure we got them written down this year. So these are the things that we're going to be doing for Phonetic Zoo. And I actually wrote this directly like I was talking to Olivia. And then later on in the year, John will get this as well. So we're going to be, these are the steps that she's going to follow every time she sits down to do a Phonetic Zoo lesson. And so she'll know exactly what she needs to do, and I'll print out a copy of this and probably kind of trim it up and cut it out and put it in the front of that spelling spiral notebook. So she'll have a copy when she needs it. So I'm working my way down the rest of my list and making some more of my procedure lists and lesson plan list. And that's kind of where I'll have to hang out until I am done. So I'll be back with some more of, this is step 7 in the process. Procedure lists are step 6 and lesson plan lists are step 7. And so this is where I'll have to hang out until I'm done with those 2, and then I'll be able to come back and talk about step 8. Okay, so now that I've finished my lesson planning, it's time to move on to steps 8, 9, and 10 of the process, which are a little bit harder to do in real time. So step 8 is all about getting things organized. And in doing that, we need to know what teacher materials we use, how to get them to the students, and how to keep everything in a single handy location. So as I've been doing my planning, I've been keeping a little notebook nearby where I've been making a list of all of the copies that I need and extra materials that I need to have printed and ready to go. And so that is part of step 8. I'm going to go through and make sure that I have all of those materials ready. Now I have this handy spinny thing here that I use to keep all of my teacher materials in. I keep my teacher editions of my curriculum, and then any printouts that I need or any extra resources I keep in these folders. And this stays real close to me in the schoolroom so I can just reach over and grab what I need. So my kids all have a shelf, and they all have one of these magazine holders. Actually, some of them have more than one that we use to keep their books in and any little notebooks that they have. So this is a place for them to put everything away at the end of the day and make sure that all of their materials stay in one spot and relatively tidy. Not always. And then finally we use spiral notebooks, and this is where I make a list of what the kids are going to be doing for their lessons each day, and this tells them what they need to do. Now as my kids have gotten older, they've started making their own spiral notebooks list, which comes in really handy. So all of that step 8. Moving on to step 9, this is what we call the visualization step. One day, very soon, very close to the start of school, I am actually going to sit in this schoolroom and visualize my first day of school. I'm going to kind of mentally walk through all the steps of the first day and think about everything that we're going to do. And so this is going to remind me if there's something I've forgotten that I need to print, or maybe I need to find the math DVDs, or what things have I forgotten that the 9-year-old needs to be doing while I'm working with the 12-year-old. And that visualization step really helps me with those things. Now the final step in this planning process is the review step, and I do that about 4 times a year. I have a little review checklist that I go through to make sure that my plan is still working well for us, and I have everything that I need. I don't need to change up the plan any. And I'll put a link down in the description so you can go to our website and download your own copy of this review checklist. So there you have it. That's our entire autopilot homeschool planning process that I go through every single year to get my homeschool year ready to go. I hope you have enjoyed planning along with me, and links to all of the resources, including the autopilot homeschool planning program, will be down in the description for you there.